breeze blowing, storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't fear. Mike's where the page life is about to appear. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, and if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Well, there'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend Mike, he's your man. And he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here at Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation Pride.
And we're live. Good morning, everybody. Final countdown day. Always the weird feeling on the last day leading up to a storm, right? By this time tomorrow, we're going to have landfall. It's hard to believe, right? This thing is down there south of the Key West right now. So it's amazing. So we're going to go over everything. Promise. We got a lot of anxious people. Rightfully so. A lot of unknowns out there. I get it. A lot of people don't know what they're going to get. Especially here in the Florida Peninsula. But I can't stress enough. If you live in that Big Bend area, this is something you need to take serious, okay? The surge is going to be double digits. And I saw a video last night that a lot of locals, I know how us Floridians are, we're very stubborn, right? But this could be the one for you up there. There's a lot of little towns. There's a lot of folks that might not even have internet, that might not even know this is coming. And there's a lot of famous cities up there that we all drove through on US 19. A lot of historical towns. Unfortunately, we probably are going to see some sad stories of people that didn't leave. So it's coming. And, it's going to be bad. The storm is rapidly intensifying at the moment. Everything that they expected is coming true. There does not appear to be a major shift any direction right now. I want to get that out real quick. A lot of folks posting on social, this thing's going east now. I get that every storm. People see little wiggles, little wobbles. They'll see a suggestion by one person. Next thing you know, it goes bonkers on the internet. So at this point, the storm is expected to take a slow turn. And hurricane hunters are out there right now, and there's no official indication this thing's turning east or west. So we watch every update at this point. That NHC cone is everything. The cone is anybody that can experience eye conditions. So good morning, everybody. I don't get a chance to read the comments that come in a bazillion miles an hour. a bazillion miles an hour. But if you notice the hum in the background, our neighbors are all running generators. I got my Furman ready to rock and roll. I'm going to get it out here for Julie. I have it ready just in case. People are taking it serious around here, which they should. We're under hurricane warning. If you were ordered to evacuate, that's your own personal decision. But I will tell you, unless you're a NASCAR-loving, adrenaline junkie like me and love the unknown and love danger and love being around stuff that you're not sure of, then, I would listen to your local governments and local cities and local EOCs at this point. They know best. And since this will be our last live, I don't think Hunter gets as much love as Louie. We're going to let Hunter steal the show. Hunter was named by our fans 3 years ago. We named him Hurricane Hunter. I let the fans decide. So he has been on our show for 3 years. We've seen him grow. We've seen him get sick. And he's still here today. All right. Now, how many diehards out there, Alexas still go off at 9:19? We did that last year, didn't we? And my Alexa, 7 days a week, goes off at 9:19. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend or not, right? So raise your hand. And if you're wondering what Pelican means, apparently I posted late night rant one night, the first person to comment Pelican, and now that's our thing. So, all right, so we're going to go right into it here in about 2 minutes. Big thanks. Obviously, we got a brand new commercial that ABC Fine Art Wine and Spirits is spreading across social. You might have seen it even on TV. So they do a lot for me and our page, and big supporters of us, 5 years now. So they're in Florida. So our thoughts are obviously with all the Floridians, especially employees of ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. They're located in my great state too, and there are going to be a lot of their employees affected by the storm in the northern part of the state. So thinking of y'all. Thanks for your support. Batten down the hatches. We're thinking of you. Real quick, I just want to touch on Franklin. 130-mile-an-hour hurricane, still going to miss Bermuda. Good news. Tropical storm watch is up there. Still going to get some rain bands and storms, but if you're worried about Franklin, it's still on that same track. So I wanted to make sure, let them know. So there we go. Here's current latest satellite. So biggest question in everybody's mind was, when's this thing going to go north? Well, it's starting to react to the high pressure that's built between Franklin and Idalia, and there's a front coming down that's lifting this northward. So all the steering currents are coming together. Unfortunately, it's in an area now with very little wind shear, and we can start to see yesterday, if you remember, there was a blocking of moisture to the north, and you could see that wind shear coming down from the Gulf. Well, now we're expanding this convection. You can see healthy clouds and moisture rolling in from the north and the northwest. So it's unfortunately, this is what a major hurricane in the making looks like. It's happening. No doubt about it. So that's it. There it is. It's right outside Key West radar. I updated the website. So there you go. That's on the website now. It's a great satellite. We're going to get to track this all the way up through Georgia. So this is clear eye right here. Eye wall's clear as day. We're getting a pretty strong band of rain through Key West. Anybody down in Key West? We talked about these bands rolling in late last night, early this morning, and it's just coming. It's coming, and it's going to strengthen. And these bands are going to start rotating in towards the state today as this thing starts to take shape. So we're going to see this all day today as this thing rotates around as it makes that track north. Storm Prediction Center today showing this. It's important to show you this. This is the detailed look at where you might see severe weather today. Yellow, pretty serious. Green's pretty serious. Tornado outlook, brown. Usually that means we're going to have a tornado watch. So there's your brown for today. Obviously, look, it's not a landfall, right? The storm, if it does follow this path up here somewhere, still going to get a lot of nasty weather along the coast. That's why we're under hurricane warnings. Tomorrow, we have a expanded risk zone for storms. This actually is through the night tonight. But because this thing slowed down yesterday a little bit, right? Now landfall's a little later. We might be dealing with a daylight landfall now. This also means more storms tomorrow. This is tomorrow's Outlook Wednesday. Look, still got yellow all the way across Interstate 4, all the way up towards Carolinas. And there will be tornadoes tomorrow. Brown, large area. So 2 days, nasty weather for a lot of people. This thing's going to, spiral in storms. I get a lot of people asking me questions about the Carolinas and whatnot. Well, look, this right here and this right here has got my attention. What is that right there, actually, by the way? I need to make sure I think it's 80 mile an hour or 90 mile an hour. I can't remember what the heck it is now. Hold on. Let me get the discussion here. I think it was still 80. Yeah, 80. Okay. So still hurricane. All right. So couple points here as we get into more that's very important to discuss is it's 120 mile an hour winds outside of Tampa late tonight. That's already a major hurricane. But look at the distance that it's got before landfall. It's going to continue to strengthen. I posted the latest HWRFs and the HAFS models and stuff. They're predicting a lot lower millibar, which would mean it's going to keep on strengthening as this makes landfall. So we could see a stronger system at landfall. I wish the NHC would have, I've said this for years, as you know, many years, I've suggested, why don't they have a LF estimated speed to indicate if it's strengthening or weakening? Because the problem we're seeing is we're still going to have a hurricane at the Florida-Georgia line on Wednesday afternoon. So that means a lot of folks up here are going to be dealing with a hurricane throughout the day tomorrow. And the inland effects are always not talked about enough. So we're still going to have a hurricane all the way through tomorrow in the early afternoon. This thing's going to curve out. It's going to be a strong tropical storm here across the Carolinas as it escapes on Friday. And yes, there's loop-de-doops happening. We'll show that later, but not right now. Nothing to worry about. Oh, man. People are going around evacuating people. So there you go. Hold on a second. Let me go to the door real quick. Good thing I answered the door. I got a Express Worldwide DHL box. Look what else I got. Hey, so this is how cool my fans are, right? Pretty cool. Check this out. I got a satellite phone. Thanks to my friends at Satellite Phone Store. This saved us during Ian. So big thank you to Satellite Phone Store. They're out of Florida here. We're going to share some stuff with them. They were very thoughtful, and same day delivered this yesterday to me. Satellite phone. And the DHL is something similar. I'm not going to spill the beans on that yet. But so that was very important. We got stuck in Ian with no cell coverage, and the satellite phone saved me. So part of the storm chasing gig. I'm glad I opened the door. I usually don't. That's weird. I had a premonition. So we're not going to talk about this little hook, but inland effects. So we had Kevin Guthrie on last night. Very special to me that the state of Florida, looks at us as a source of information. And, we get a lot of haters, and I get a lot of haters lately, more than ever. I don't know what's going on. I really think it's something in the air. I don't know. But they're very thankful Florida Division of Emergency Management came on. I asked him a question about what his 3 most things to worry about with this particular storm. 3 things. Number 1, he said, was going to be storm surge. We got storm surge numbers here that are showing upwards of 12 feet here in the Big Bend area. So that's double digits. A lot of low-lying areas up there, and like I said, there's a lot of cities and a lot of towns up there, and a lot of locals. There's a lot of people, a lot of unfortunately areas that might not even be prepared for this kind of stuff. So they're worried about the storm surge. They're worried about the storm surge down to Tampa Bay, and I get the feeling because we're not in the cone here and we're not taking a direct hit, people aren't understanding that we're still going to see effects here on the Florida West Coast. And 4 to 7 feet, Ada was 3 to 5 feet. We had hundreds of homes flooded in Pinellas County alone. So 4 to 7 is more. So we're going to see flooding. Now, luckily, the tide schedule, is a little, it might work in our favor. But the supermoon, the unfortunate thing with the supermoon is we don't really go down to a low tide. So even though it's not as high as you might see on a different time, the low isn't as low. So that water is just going to continue to push. So your surge is based on tide or storm surge plus the additional tides because of the moons. But what isn't considered is the wind and the waves. And this thing is going to be pushing a lot of water. If it's 120 mile an hour plus hurricane off our coast, it's going to be pushing a lot of water towards Tampa Bay area northward. Anclote River could have 9 feet of surge. So that's a big unknown that nobody knows. And it's you think, oh, the cone shifted or the cone's not touching us. But we're so close to this storm. I mean, I put this satellite imagery out earlier. They're like, oh my God, it's like right there. Look. I mean, it looks like it's there. I mean, it's definitely got a little bit of east motion, but that was the official track. But again, here's Tampa. I mean, you simply just draw this up. I mean, it's close. That's close enough to have these type of surge effects. So that was the number one worry, is this surge. It's real. This is, something we're going to either know later tomorrow or not. The second thing he was worried about, let me go to the Weather Channel. They have a great graphic here. I really appreciate the Weather Channel. They have become friends of mine, actually. They did a nice article on our city of Oldsmar. I talked to one of the producers. They collabed and did a nice article on Oldsmar just the other day. But anyway, power outages are going to be real. And Kevin Guthrie mentioned they are worried that we could have more power outages than we did during Hurricane Ian. Like 3 million people, maybe? 3 million? It's because it's a strengthening hurricane that isn't going to weaken very fast, and it's going to be moving fast. And it's going over an area with a lot of pine trees, a lot of oak trees. For some reason, palm trees can survive Category 5 hurricanes a lot better than oak trees. Well, this isn't a Category 5, and Ian wasn't a Category 5, excuse me. But you understand what I'm saying. Palm trees have a natural ability to stay upright, but oak trees don't. And there's a lot of marshland up there. There's a lot of, wet lands. Those root systems have not seen a hurricane like this in a long time. So a lot of your weaker, older trees are going to be falling, and that's what creates power problems because they crash on the power lines. Next thing you know, you got a big old mess. So they have over, I think I heard 20 to 30,000 linemen. Tammy Kent, one of our great sponsors, OSR, they're stationed down here in St. Petersburg. Linemen are amazing. They get called upon 10 to 20 to 30. I think he said 20,000, 30,000, 30,000 linemen. I can't remember. I'm getting confused with 3 million, but I think it's 20,000 linemen at least. 20,000 trucks are basically lined up ready to help Florida get power back. So they're just ready to go. Another thing that was interesting, I thought, was the airboats. He said there's a whole team of airboats on its way. We're talking like the jungles of Florida here. Like, it's marsh. So they bring in airboats to do water rescues because you can't access people with helicopters. Think about that. Water rescues on other hurricanes. They drop the, whatever it is that picks people up. What do you call that thing? I wouldn't even know what you call that thing. You see all the videos of people getting water rescued. But they can't do that with helicopters because there's the trees. Say they brought in airboats. These are things you don't even think about. But anyway, so the second thing they're worried about is power loss. And the third thing they're worried about is the inland flooding. The inland flooding is a leading cause of hurricane deaths because of water. And the latest rain maps here I'm just like blew by them. Where the hell are they? Oh, there they are. The latest rain maps here are this, and this is their third biggest concern. The 6 to 10 inches in orange over, the Suwannee River. So, they're worried about a lot of flooding. And 6 to 10 inches dumping in very, very short amount of time is going to accumulate. So flooding is a real concern. And this is going to extend. Look, with the current track trajectory, because our system is going to be turning, it's going to be pulling in all this moisture. Look at that. We got 6 to 10 through Carolina, 6 to 10 through Augusta, all the way through Carolina. So flooding, and if you go to the flooding map itself, there you go. That's a large area of red. Red is about as bad as it gets as far as flash flooding potential. So that's a large area they're going to experience flash flooding from this system. That makes life a little rougher when you're dealing with that along with wind. So that's real concern. So there's that. There's the three things. I also added a new map here from the Weather Channel. This is the most important map that I could ever suggest for the Hurricane Center, is to show the inland watches and warnings. You see the standard NHC map, and you just see coastal areas. This is a great map. It shows you how many people are affected. We got hurricane warnings all the way up into Georgia. Maybe people don't realize that. It wasn't that long ago. I didn't really think it like that. I look at the coastal impacts. You look at the line, and you're like, okay, it's, you focus on the red line where it's going, but you don't really look at this, like hurricane warning all the way up through Georgia. That's because we're gonna have hurricane winds still blowing north, as this thing goes inland, and we got a tropical storm warning for almost 2/3 of the state. 21 counties have mandatory evacuations in the state of Florida right now. Not whole counties, but portions of 21 counties. That's incredible to think. So this is not anything to like laugh about or say it ain't gonna be nothing, or it's just gonna be. It's just gonna be. So there you go. I added those to the site too, by the way, and it links to weather.com because they do have a very nice page with a lot of great information. So hopefully I get to hang out with Jim Cantori. All right, here's future tracks. This is what we need to talk about. I know everybody's more worried about this for some reason. Track confidence, extremely confident, as it has for several days. Very little doubt this thing is going to slowly turn up towards the Eastern Gulf. But what the heck's going on out here, man? Sean, if you're listening from ABC, I apologize. He texted me and said, is it possible to do a loop-de-doop? I'm like, nah, well. So steering currents are weak, but it's worth pointing out. As far as the rest of the track goes, man, we're at that point. If you remember last night, I'm like, well, today's live. Today's 5 a.m. and today's 11 a.m. National Hurricane Center. Things are going to be pretty darn definite, right? We're within 24 hours of landfall here, so it's pretty confident. This is a little weird. Yeah, I will admit. So we'll keep an eye on that. The ensembles, you can get a little look at some other stuff here. This is on Weather Nerds. Oh, here's your 6Z ensembles. So very little. The European ensembles are amazing, and there's very little discrepancy on the future track. The thing that I am noticing, though, we still have that cone. And I'm telling you, any little shift in that cone changes everything for folks on the Florida West Coast. I don't have to stress that enough. I think everybody knows that by now. We know that Irma, Ian, and Charlie turned in that cone. And what worries me, for west central Florida is this storm is so large now that it won't take a direct landfall to have really bad conditions. If you remember, Hurricane Irma came up through the middle part of the state, through Lakeland area, and we had a ton of damage on both sides of the state from Irma being just a Category 1. A lot of people ask me, too, go to public advisories here on the National Hurricane Center site and look at the discussion down here. This is the number one question I get all the time. So this is the current data on how far out the winds go. Right now, the hurricane force winds extend 15 miles from the center because it's only, it's still a weaker hurricane right now. It's still Cat 1. But what's interesting is tropical storm force winds now extend 160 miles from the center. So it's telling you it's starting to really expand. Tropical storm force winds extend 160, and that's pretty much on the east side, not the west side. West side's a lot less. East side of the storm, tropical storm force winds, and you can see that too by looking at the latest Hurricane Center graphic here. Let me get the cool one here. That's the actual. If you wonder what that weird noise is below me, it's a hunter devouring a bone. That little guy's got a bone bigger than him. Come here, let me show you this thing. Look at the size of this thing. That's about as big as Hunter is. He's like, will you take my bone, Daddy? These are your wind fields. I love this graphic. It's on the National Hurricane Center site, but it gives you an idea how far the winds extend. These are tropical storm force winds in the green. So, so close to Key West. But, if you just follow this, now imagine if this got bigger, and this thing tracks. I mean, these winds are going to be, way into the state. That's why we have tropical storm warnings way south of the Cape and Shelley there. These winds are expected to expand across the state of Florida. So that's why we have watches and warnings. It's not the cone, it's this that we're watching, the actual storm itself. So we'll watch if that expands or not. That's the current wind field. And they'll have a new one of these at 11 o'clock, which is great. Maybe we'll stay along for that. I think I will. Shelly, I'm sorry. It's your fault. All right, so 160 miles is tropical storm force winds. The overall size of it is definitely clear here on some of these infrared satellites that it's pulling in a lot of moisture. We didn't see this yesterday. Look at this big old bubble of convection as daylight came in. So lots of signs here as daylight came on that right here, this is the center. And every time you see lightning in the center, you're seeing a developing eye wall or eye. And we see a big bubble of convection this morning. And what we did not see yesterday, look at that thing just... What we didn't see yesterday was anything here because it was experiencing wind shear from the Gulf, and now, totally getting that look here of everything flowing in, and it's happening fast, big time. I like to zoom out sometimes. We can let me just go to the NOAA site here because we can get a little better. Even the microwave imagery, a lot of diehard loves this graphic. This is the core of the storm. And look, you can start to see, even when it was below Cuba there, started to see a little eye. And that's, once this thing fully closes off, man, is what they're worried about. It'll begin rapid intensification. And they fully expect it. Winds take a little while to catch up to the pressure drop, but you can follow the hurricane hunters here on tropicaltidbits.com. All right, so what other stuff we're going to look at? So the rain bands today, let me just give you a look here to two things. Let's look at the HRRR because this is kind of what it's going to look like as far as rain bands go. If you're new to Florida and you're kind of wondering what this is all about, well, rain bands are really interesting to me. I grew up remembering tropical rain bands. So tropical rain bands are different than normal storms. There'll be sunshine, and you'll see this feeder band coming in, and it'll dump a ton of rain, like boom, and then it's gone, and then we have sunshine again. It is the weirdest thing. And then there might be another one, and then another one. So this is going to start today. High resolution radar kind of starts to show it. I was hoping the HRR is not really a hurricane model, but it might give you the look, what I was hoping. And there you go. There it gives you the look. So there you go. Constant bands of storms. We're going to have some of these down in the East Coast, around South Florida. This is later today. But that's just what it kind of looks like. And what's interesting is for Florida, and then we'll talk obviously about everybody, but this is worth mentioning. When our system moves away and it's now starting to affect Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, these guys always follow. It's amazing. And this will be tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to have a change of wind flow. And these little guys are actually going to be strong. I've seen past storms that these were stronger than the day before. We could see tornadoes tomorrow popping out of these little cells that are tagging along because daytime heating's coming back. There's going to be a lot of heat and moisture, heat along with moisture. So this is what we watch tomorrow, and the Storm Prediction Center is showing that tomorrow. I was surprised it was different than yesterday. This is tomorrow. They're showing that. So even though our system's moving away, this is still going to pull in storms tomorrow. If you're wondering why. Let's look at the Windy app, which is the Euro app. Basically, if you ever go to Windy, it's actually the Euro. The Windy doesn't predict anything. It's just the Euro. But just to give you an idea what it might look like, this is storms and stuff. Very clear, obviously on the Euro. The Euro doesn't do a very good job with intensity, let me tell you right now. But overnight tonight, look at this. This thing is so dang close, I'm telling you. I don't have a measuring tool on this, I don't think. Oh, that would be great. Do we have a measuring tool? Click on map. Let's see, we do that to that. Oh! So it's 114 miles from Pinellas County. That's the Euro. 100 miles. That's almost as far off as Ada. Ada was a little closer. I think Ada was about 65 to 70 miles off the coast. But that's how close we are. But look at these bands. This is nasty squall lines tonight. So the one thing that I'm concerned about for West Coast first is these overnight bands are going to really be a surprise to many people along the coast here. Again, everybody's going to be looking at landfall. Everybody's going to be focused on the eye, but they're not. This is the east side of a storm, the dirty side, and this is going to be smacking into the Florida West Coast. And this is going to be pushing those waters into the bay and pushing that surge. So that's what we got to look at. When we get to tomorrow, look, this is around noon. We still got a hurricane over Florida Georgia line. So by tomorrow, look at the wind shift. These things now are going to be pulling in this way. So early tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon, we're going to start getting some nasty storms brewing out there in the Atlantic towards southern Georgia and in northern Florida. And now we got a surge issue here. They have surge warning. I don't know if we have a warning yet, but still we got surge possible. And we got big winds possible. If you look at the wind gusts, let me show you here in a second. And then our system's going to start skirting along the coast. This is the big question mark, is where is it going to end up? Is it going to end up over the water? This is why we got the big rain totals right here. All this energy pumps around, and guess what? It has to go somewhere. So we have these big rain totals tomorrow because our low pressure is going to be far enough down south. So we're going to have coastal effects and big rain effects. Areas that normally experience flooding are going to get more because of these higher tides. And that theme is all the way through. Heavy incoming rains and storms ahead of a system. Tropical storm force guaranteed. If you look at the latest trajectory here, they're still predicting a strong tropical storm, even if this thing remains over land for the Carolinas. So let's zoom in on what they're exactly thinking here. So right smack dab over South Carolina, that's still supposed to be 60 mile an hour sustained wind, 70 mile an hour gusts. This is tomorrow. What time tomorrow? This would be overnight. Excuse me. That's what I was thinking. Tomorrow to me is day. This is tomorrow night. So overnight tomorrow night. Overnight Wednesday night. Today's Tuesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday overnight. And then here, still 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour gusts. So they're not expecting it to weaken. So that's going to create, trouble. They are expecting to weaken out here, 45 knots. So the trend has been, if this thing does any loop-de-doops, hopefully it lost its steam. And it's not going to come back as a hurricane at this point. But I will show you one model that might be saying it might. Threats and hazards map. This is a good one. So I updated some links today right here up top. Very important links. I added Florida Traffic. Florida Traffic is a great site because it's live traffic going on right now. You can zoom in on areas. This will be very important if you make last-minute decisions to evacuate. Hopefully it's updated good with live traffic. It'll tell you closures, detours, everything going on in the state of Florida. You can even see traffic cams. So this will hopefully be a useful tool for you. I also added power outages. This goes to our Furman Power outage tracker, and you can click on the state of Florida here, and we're going to track power outages. Right now we only have 540 in Pinellas County. Florida's not even on the top 10 map. So we have 1,600, remember that, 1,600 power outages at 9:55 a.m. And let's see what it is tomorrow. I'm going to leave it right there so I can go back and screenshot it. So I added that. Of course, this NHC threat map is a great tool. It's kind of worst case scenario, but it's worth sharing. If there's a Sharon, it's worth sharing. Don't call me Shirley. Shirley. So if you notice, the purple winds have now, because of a track change, the purple winds have now shifted a little bit, missing most of the Tampa Bay area. We still have red. Potential wind gusts 74 to 110. Now that, I hope, this is an official product from the National Hurricane Center. Not everybody will get that. That area has got the potential for a gust of wind of 74 to 110. The purple area, greater than 110. And look at that little pocket of red there north of Jacksonville. That was these incoming winds early tomorrow. Once our low establishes somewhere here, we're going to start to see the storms coming from this direction. So tomorrow morning, you're going to start getting it in Jacksonville northward. Not being rude if you're asking questions. I'm just doing my thing. The other maps we can look at on this site is flooding rain, which I've shared, obviously, storm surge threat, and tornadoes. So that's pretty much a combination of the Storm Prediction Center graphics. But it's a good tool to use. Of course, I have the Florida Division of Emergency Management, everything you need to know as far as what the state's doing, what you need, emergency info for Idalia. So great updates coming, all kinds of stuff. Press release, orders, evacuation information, shelters, state assistance. So a very important link to share since they're going to take the worst of this thing. Hopefully, as it moves inland to Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, it's nothing to worry about too much, hopefully. I still think lower Georgia is going to be a little shocked that they're in hurricane warnings right now, and this thing's still going to be a hurricane in the Florida-Georgia line. No loops. We're not going to talk about a loop back to Tampa. That just gets everything going. Austin, what the heck was your last text if you're watching? What does that mean? Don't know what that means. Welcome all the people over from TikTok. I appreciate it. We got a growing little following over there. I addressed the loop-de-doop thing, but anyway. All right, so at this point, you should know kind of your zones and what to expect. That track is about as tight as we see. These tracks are trained to go by upper level winds. I mean, pretty high confident. The only question mark at this point, past storms, it might not matter as much, but a wiggle to the east side of that cone can change a lot for so many. So that's kind of the last, and basically how strong it's going to get today. It's supposed to be 120 miles an hour off the coast of Tampa tonight at 1 a.m. or 2 p.m. For some reason they're using Central Daylight Time. But so 2 a.m. tonight is supposed to be 120 mile an hour. 80 mile an hour at 2 p.m. So that's the big worry is what is it going to be from here to here. Some of these latest hurricane-specific models, let's go to tropicaltidbits.com real quick. I'm going to drink some coffee first. Let's see here. Man, I'm like, I feel great today. I was a little mentally exhausted yesterday. I was worried. I'm like, had like 4 radio shows yesterday. It was nuts. Got 2 today. I'll be on Drew a couple times a day. Oh crap, some other guy. Did I miss Bob Thompson this morning? Bob, I told you to email me. If I messed up, buddy, I'm sorry. Thought you said today. I don't remember, man. It's getting out of hand. I can't keep up. But anyway. So a lot of people ask where I'm located. I'm located here in Tampa, Florida, Oldsmar, city of Oldsmar. Oldsmar got flattened in 1921. Our city was founded by R.E. Olds, who founded Oldsmobile. And in 1921 hurricane, it came across Tarpon Springs, leveled a lot of our county and area here, and they had to rebuild. Grew up in Palm Harbor. No, it's not coming back out and get everybody again. That is like the panic. Today's panic is the loop back. So far, every loop that comes back is a very weak system. First off, that needs to be addressed. God, it's like the panic shifts to the next thing. Tanya wants to know about the other meteorologist saying, okay, I'm probably referring to Eric Burris. He's a very good meteorologist. I respect him. He was just pointing out the track, where the track was predicted to be versus where the radar was. It appeared that it was going a little to the east. So, I did my own homework, and looking at where the hurricane hunters fixed the center at, I didn't see it yet, so I didn't want to share it. The latest track here on the hurricane hunters showed the last couple fixes had it go north. And if you look at the coordinates here, it was supposed to be around 84.8 at 24. If you look at the latest 8 a.m. advisory, we look at things like this. Let me put the track on. You can kind of see where it was supposed to be, where it is. And it's 1 p.m. It's supposed to be at 84.8, 24.9 higher. So, 84.8 is where it's supposed to be at 1. And if you look at where it's at here, it's pretty much 84.8. Maybe a little east, maybe a little bit. I mean, 84.5 is right there. 6.7, maybe. Well, actually, they'll tell you. The Hurricane Center. So the latest fix on the Hurricane Center at 8 o'clock this morning was 84.8. So it's supposed to be at 84.8 at 2 p.m. Eastern. But look, you got a cone here, right? That's the big thing. If it shifts a little bit, maybe it'll wiggle back. So it's not a drastic thing. That's just my unprofessional opinion. I did not see a big shift going on to the east. I know, it's easy to see the convection bubbles bubble around an eye, and it appears sometimes that the eye is moving, but it's actually the convection that's kind of bubbling around it sometimes too. So, and a lot of time the radar is tough because it won't pick up through the storm. It's going to pick up the east side, but not the west side. It's going to loop, but the only model showing it's going to loop it would be extremely weak if it did that. Extremely weak. As a matter of fact, I mean, I can't believe the buzz of this thing looping back. If it did loop back, on the GFS, it's almost non-existent. I will say though, and I guarantee nobody in Carolina is asked to be about the loop back because everybody's sharing the GFS. The latest Euro is showing a loop back. That's a 6Z. There. It goes over Bermuda, 1,002, 999. So it does look like it's going to stall for a week. That's like, this is Monday. So I just don't get all, my opinion, don't get all worked up. If the GFS is right, it's going to be 1,000, not even 1,010 millibar. And how many times has the GFS ever been right? Canadian, very, very, very weak. So I think the loop's possible. But man, I think people are thinking it's going to be a Category 3 hurricane looping back. It's going to weaken a lot. Hopefully. I mean, that's all I can say. Currently, it looks like it's going to, sit and then maybe come back. But, I love my European ensembles. I love looking at them on Weather Nerds. You can look at them on Tropical Tidbits, center points here, and we can look at that, and you're going to see the majority of them are weak if it did come back. Well, the Euro's not even showing it come back, so anyway. All right. Can I show the eye? Thinking of a good high resolution site. I hear generators running. There's a generator over here and there's a generator over there. Wow. I guess I better get my generator out. But listen, seriously, Pinellas County folks, I'm here with you. I'm telling everybody we're under hurricane warning. Do what you want to do to prepare. And listen to your local meteorologists, and you make that decision. The good thing is, anything happens, hopefully we're ready for it, right? Hopefully we're ready for it. Let's see. I'm thinking of a good site here to show satellite. I'm going to think here. I think we're going to go to the College DuPage. Speaking of my local friends, by the way, Done Right Roofing right here. Big supporters of ours locally here. So if you do need any roofing, we do have any winds, we do have any shingles blowing off, please call them first. They're big supporters of Palm Harbor in our local area, Pinellas County, Pasco, Hillsborough, and they'll take care of you. They're huge fans of ours, blue and orange trucks. A lot of locals depend on them. So hopefully you don't need any roof repairs, but if you live here where I do, we still have, winds up to 110 they're claiming possible. But I hope not. We see. We might have a nice zoomed-in radar here on College DuPage. I think we might have a floater now, maybe. Yes, we do. Okay. So let's look at some high-resolution stuff. No clear eye on satellite yet. Boy, look at that bubbling though. I love this satellite. This is like massive refresh mode. I love this satellite. We can look at all kinds of different versions of it. Look at this convection just bubbling. We're getting convection on the outer bands too, which it wasn't even there yesterday because we had wind shear and dry air, but now we don't. Oh, no clear eye yet. Some of these higher resolution sites were starting to show it developing. It looks like it's due east of or due west of the Keys right now. It is. So here's the Keys, and there it is. Smack dab. It's so close, man. Look at these bands of rain starting to come in, man. This is happening quick, folks. This area right here, man, we're going to start seeing these hit the coast, and it's going to get ugly. This is old frontal boundary stuff. This is actually going to help fuel the system. And some of this moisture is going to get pulled up into it from the upper Gulf. So it does look like a little eye is trying to appear. This would be where it would be at right there. You can see it smack dab east or west. That's twice I've done that. West of the Keys. Right there. You can kind of see it cleaning out a little bit. Wouldn't it be cool if we could even zoom in closer to that? I don't know if we can or not. Maybe weather nerds can. Let's zoom, super duper zoom here. Let's super duper zoom. And we'll see if there's any little pop of eye popping. It's going to be there soon enough. The pressure's down to 970s already. It goes through these periods too. This is so classic of storms. It's amazing to watch the formation. So you get some intense thunderstorms, you get intense lightning, you get the purples and the whites, which is rising clouds, and then all of a sudden you get a little relaxation, and then all of a sudden another burst of energy. And I mean, we don't have to talk about the waters. They're extremely hot. We know that. Underneath, water's hot. Ocean heat content is hot. It's going over a current loop current currently. Loop current currently. Right here. So all this fuel here, unfortunately, is going to feed our system as it passes by. So even tonight in Tampa, these outer bands are going to be feeding into this loop current right here. And that's, unfortunately, is why we're seeing massive storms bubbling off to the east side. It's going to be being helped fueled by this loop current, which is extra hot water at the surface and below. Another map I want to bring attention to is called the wind map, or the wave map. Boy, I'm starting to lose it now. Let's see what the current predictions are on wave heights. So we're at 58.6. Has any sailors out there? I mean, what is it like to have 58-foot seas in the Gulf of Mexico? This is why the surge is a concern, because these winds push that water. The waves are added on top of surge. So not 58 foot is going to make the coastline, but some will. So we're going to see waves on top of surge. Surge is the number. 11-foot surge is 11-foot surge. You add waves to that, you have 4, 5, 6 feet more on top of that 11. No, now it's 12. Now it's 12. And you know what? At 11, they might bump it up, because you know what? Let me show you some high resolution. Let me close some windows. I don't want to make this the day I crash Chrome. I think I did it back in January. So here's the latest high resolution modeling on tropicaltidbits.com. This has still got me a little worried for final landfall, because the NHC is putting 120 miles an hour somewhere off the coast of Tampa. So let's do that. Let's just do a little digesting here. Let's assume here that this is correct, This is 2 a.m. Isn't that a song? It's 2 a.m. Hey, the funniest... Shelly, what was the name of that bar last night? Or the restaurant? We were Googling a place to storm chase. By the way, everybody, I am storm chasing. Look, I got my shirt. My shirt. This shirt's been in 3 hurricanes. No. 2. One tropical storm, 1 hurricane, and 1 major hurricane. So it's my storm chasing ensemble. So follow us, storm chasing, please. We're going to be sharing reels. Shelly is. We're going to try to get the word out. We stream live on YouTube. We stream live on Facebook. So we're hoping everybody will grab a bag of popcorn and watch us venture into the storm. And hopefully we're into areas where there's nobody staying behind, because that surge is going to be rough. And I got flip-flops. And there's no hurricane cakes. Brian, I'm not getting sidetracked. 3 o'clock in the morning, yes. That's the song. It's 3 a.m. So here's a little weird experiment I'm going to do. I got to redo my storm tracker thing today, too. That was my cheat sheet for my dash, because in the heat of the moment, I get confused which way is east and west. Got my fuel. Don't judge. I've lived on caffeine my whole life. So 2 a.m. pressure is 965 according to the HAFS. So NHC saying 120 miles an hour about right here at 2 a.m. So let's see what this model does to landfall, because the next 12-hour marker on the NHC is way up to the Florida-Georgia line. So we don't know what the NHC thinks this is going to do on approach. So we got 965, and then the HAFSA is showing 945. So a 20 millibar drop from Tampa. Well, let's argue it's right there. So 954. So it's still a 10 millimeter drop, millibar from there to there. So the HAFS is expecting this to continue to intensify. The H Wharf showing 941 here off of Tampa, and it's showing 937. Still intensifying. Not a lot, but enough to be more than 120. 944 on the HAFSB, and it goes down to 933. So there's 3 models showing intensification on approach. HMON, a little more or less aggressive, usually 947, 945. So the point being is not going to weaken before landfall. If anything, it's going to strengthen before landfall. And that's only going to be bigger problems going into the peninsula or Panhandle or Big Bend, or how about Florida? I get so confused trying to figure it out. So if you're wondering why you're in tropical storm warnings on the East Coast, it's because the winds here are expanding, and if you follow these winds, they're basically going to be following the storm. So these tropical storm force winds are expected in our squall lines today and then tomorrow as they come from the other way. So today you're going to get it from the east, and tomorrow you're going to get it from the west. And that sounds like a good song, Andy Simmons. We could theme it after like Daytona Beach or something, like, you know, sitting in my lawn chair. Yeah, I think Panhandle. Hey, Stephanie. Technically, the Panhandle is, I think, the edge of the cone, right? We got Panhandle, Big Bend, and Peninsula. I'd just stick to Florida. For so long, I didn't even talk about the Peninsula. Now it's like trying to explain things, and sometimes I misspell them. I think of things like watch and warning, like I confuse the two. I'll type Peninsula, meaning Panhandle. Oh, Ellie, the biggest problem ever right there, Eli, is there's no TBC and ABC. I don't believe that. I would almost bet if you ask them a favor, they will bring it all in. They have to. Please ask them. So yeah, Justin, 11 a.m. We'll see. I don't know if the winds are there yet. Trying to find a hotel. They're all sold out. I can feel you there, Regina. Inland winds for South Carolina for sure, Cade, 100%. We got some wind maps. I guess we can look here. Maybe sometimes this wind map's okay. I don't know if it's. I didn't like the way it looked this year. It looked different in years past, but basically, this is a product from the National Hurricane Center. This is weird, but it gives you an idea. I mean, it's yeah. One graphic, Dennis and I were texting. The wind gusts of the one graphic with the red shows a lot more than this, but nonetheless, you can see 143 mile an hour wind gusts is what they're worried about somewhere on the path up here through the Panhandle. Big Bend, excuse me. But yes, South Carolina for sure, 30, 40 mile an hour winds. So, I mean, your all's biggest issue more than anything is going to be storms coming in and a lot of rain. So coastal effects, yes, no ifs, ands, or buts. Coastal surge. I mean, look. Let's go back to the wave map for you guys, and you're going to see it too. I mean, even though the system's going to be not as strong wind wise, pressure wise, a lot of the modeling is suggesting that this thing is going to expand a little bit in size, and those wind fields now off the coast are going to be 40 foot, but wider is what I'm getting at. So some of these obviously are going to push in out ahead of our storm. So definitely increase surf. This is Wednesday and Thursday as it gets on out of here. So, I mean, here's your Outer Banks on Thursday night going into Friday. Could be some big winds here rolling in as our low moves away, and winds are going to start wrapping around from the north side, and boom. So, yeah, could be, definitely coastal issue as our low moves on out of here. So the Outer Banks for sure is watching the exit. So even a storm that exits, south or whatever, we're still going to get the winds down around it as it escapes out of here. So, and like I said, you're already in a tornado threat, South Carolina, for tomorrow. Tomorrow you got a tornado threat, no doubt. That's a big chunk. That's because we're going to have a lot of storms incoming. So yeah, they're just not going to be your normal tornadoes coming in from the southeast or southwest. You're going to have tornadoes coming in from the east side, maybe wrapping in around these feeder bands. So a little change in the direction of the tornadoes. The UK, I have not even looked at the UK. Chris, how's it going, buddy? Let's see here. Kind of gave up looking at the UK when it was trending with everybody else. And we'll see here what Chris is talking about. What are you talking about, Chris? There's your UK. So, but notice these winds. I mean, the east side of the storm doesn't really matter. The wiggles and wobbles are going to mean a whole lot for that west central northward parts of Florida and how bad you really get it. Brian, what's up? I will not be chasing Pinellas. I would love to be here, but I don't think so. I think we're going to go north. Roy's. Was that the name of it? Roy's. We had the owner of Roy's in last night. Where should we chase at? I don't know where I'm going. Do I think it's going east? No. I think there's a chance it can ride in the cone. So Suncoast Eagle Logical Services, great question. The track of the H4 for me over the years has not been very good. Not sure the history of the HAFS. I think the HAFS track's probably more historically more accurate. That's why they're going to go to it. H4's really good on intensity, but never really to me seemed like it's been good on tracks. Different models do better jobs of reading upper air patterns, and that's why the Euro to me has always been one of the best, because it reads the upper air patterns better than anybody. So a lot of cancellations in flights, Rich. Yep. It's not as wide as it was, Nancy. It's probably less now. Tropical storm force winds extend out 160 miles, though. So let's say they extend out 80 miles the other way, or half, 90. What's half of 160? 80. So 160 plus 80 is what? 320? So you can say tropical storm force winds guesstimated around 320 miles wide, because it's always more on the east side. But the overall convection is definitely coming together. You can see that. I mean, it's totally different looking than it was yesterday. Now watch what's happening here. So we got that big burst of convection. Then we get, man, this thing is just, it's moving so fast. It's hard to believe we're looking at landfall in the morning. Thing is cooking now, man. It would take a pretty hard turn at this point even to hit Tampa directly. So you got to remember where this was compared to other storms. It was, they were a lot more to the east when they made that turn. But it still doesn't mean you're not going to feel the effects. You're just not going to feel the worst case scenario. That's the good news for if you're worried about it where I live. So where should we go? Where would be a interesting chase? I don't want to go Cedar Key. That's where everybody seems like they're going right now. Look at the radar, man. That thing's popping. Holy cow. These bands are just absolutely coming out of nowhere. Unbelievable. Once these things start making it ashore, man, you guys are going to be getting some nasty weather. These are going to turn into severe thunderstorm warnings once they reach land. Chattahoochee. Steinhatchee. Water temps in the 90s, Kimberly. We can take a look at that for you. Here's a great map from Bay News 9. It's upper 80s. They're a little warmer along the coast, but yeah, on average, 87. A couple degrees warmer than normal. I better stop talking. I need to save my voice here a little bit. I'm talking a lot lately. So looking at places to go. So I've lived my whole life traveling Florida, leaving the state. Been up and down US 19 a million times. A bazillion times. And I always thought in the back of my mind, like, what would it be like if this area got a hurricane? Because they've had hurricanes in the past, but I'm not really too sure if they've had a major like this in a while. Does anybody live up that area that have a storm they can reference to? I got snacks. 58-foot waves out in the Gulf, not by the shore. So here's Cedar Key. That's a lot of folks are hanging out. There's Chiefland. Cross City. I remember growing up, Roy Leap would didn't Channel 13 back in the day for some reason tell you what the temperature was in Cross City. Things you got to remember here too, everybody. It's still going to be an 80-mile-an-hour hurricane on the Florida-Georgia line. That means, a lot of hurricane force winds still to come. Lake City, Branford, Live Oak. I mean, you're going to get hurricane force winds, There's a lot of our followers in Lake City, I know. Interstate 75, that'll be interesting. A hurricane crossing over. Interstate 10. So this hurricane is not expected to lose any punch as it goes northeastward. But you're right about Steinhatchee, unfortunately. What is the internet like in there? That's the big question. I did get an invitation from Kevin that if I need an airboat, that we got an airboat at our disposal. A lot of RV and trailers in that area, Lisa says. Hey, what's up, Mr. Dale? And by the way, landfall again is expected to be, it's hard to predict, but, here we go. 2 a.m., 2 p.m. So I'm just going to do old school. 2 a.m. So what's half of 2 and, what is that? 6, what would be 7 o'clock? No, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock would, in the morning. Never mind, like 8 p.m. So 8 a.m. somewhere right here. So not quite landfall yet. So it looks like it's going to be definitely a rough early morning tomorrow. And that's Eastern time. ET. What was interesting on my Twitter account, let me show you this real quick. XXX. I follow a guy named Alan Hoffman, and he's a great guy. He's been doing this a long time. And he shared this earlier. He puts this together. What's interesting is this. Very interesting. The 5 a.m. NHC. Let me see if I can open it into another image here. The 5 a.m. NHC map was right here. Look at every model. So that's kind of why I didn't want to jump on this east bandwagon yet, because there's still tremendous model support that is not going to go any more east. So we got wiggle, we got wobble. That's why we have the cone. But if you live and die like I do by the models, the white is the NHC 5 o'clock advisory, while the models shifted a little bit to the west. Now he put this together from all the 6Z model runs and ensemble plots. It's a really good, amazing map. I love it. It includes the GFS and the Euro mean, meaning all of their members. And the European mean is definitely a little bit to the east. That's the European average of all their ensembles. Whereas the GFS mean is here. So if I had to guess, depending if the storm is actually going east or not, which it doesn't look like it is, we might see a little bump in the cone a little bit, maybe to the west. Maybe. But we're going to find out. But that's a great graphic. He puts that together. I think he does a great job with it. Close some windows here. Window. All right. Where did my model? I thought I had it up. Oh, there's ABC. I guess I took it down. All right. Let's go back to my map here. I want to look a little more. So, God, I've gotten gas in Perry a bazillion times. I was pulling a trailer one time and almost coasted into Perry. That first gas station with the barbecue. I swear I was on fumes the last 5 miles. I'm like, oh my God, we're not going to make it, Julie. We were going to Talladega. What's amazing with this area, there's really not a lot of cities around here. Which is better than the worst case. So yeah, let's see what they do at 11. So far, the center of the line goes through Steinhatchee. That's the center point, which I tell everybody don't focus on. That's what I'm doing right now. Sorry. All right, well, listen. I am not staying till 11. I forgot. I have to fix something on my site before the 11. So I need to get that done. And I'm losing my voice. I don't want to lose my voice. So I got to slow down. It's not going to loop back. If it loops back, it's going to be weak. Gail, I'm already loaded up. I got 5 tanks in my back. We'll find out about Starlink. So, St. Mark's. So I'm really curious what they're going to be discussing here at 11. So all right. So, we're going to end up with this. Anybody that lives in that Big Bend area that's in that red surge zone, man, just please go check on them. Please tell them. There are maps here that I have on my site that you can look at and how far this water might possibly go in. Right here, surge map, surge inundation, surge warnings, but these get updated, and some of this area, unfortunately Steinhatchee right there, I mean, that's bad. That's a lot of surge. And of course, this gets pushed up in these little rivers. So here's Fanning Springs in Old Town, Cross City there, driving through 19. So that's number one concern from the state of Florida. Number 2 concern was power outages across a large area, maybe millions of customers without power. And third is the inland flooding risks because it's expected to dump a lot of rain. There's a lot of juice with this system. All you got to do is look at this and know there's a lot of moisture, and it's starting to pull it all in. So fast amounts of rain accumulations cause trouble because they cannot get absorbed into the ground very fast, and we have flooding issues. So be careful of that. All right. So again, I got to go. It's been an hour and 20, 30 minutes. Big thanks to Shelly. She's always there for me on the back side doing the work. And make sure you follow us as we will be streaming live later this afternoon. I'll be on the bone for sure at 2:45, 5:55, or 5:45. I got like 3 other gigs I got to look at. I forget. And then we're going to head that way. And I'll try to keep posting, so don't worry about that. We'll still be posting. We just won't be live tomorrow, because by tomorrow it's going to be making landfall. So, and I can't say Steinhatchee. How do you say Steinhatchee? Is it Steinhatchee? It's Steinhatchee. Steinhatchee. Steen? All right. Steinhatchee. All right.